Now, this article out of The Hill is headlined, "Young Women Are Trending Liberal and Young Men Are Not." And we can get into a little bit of the numbers here. It says young women are more likely to identify as liberal now than at any time in the past 2 decades, past 20 years. 44% of young women counted themselves as liberal in 2021 compared to 25% of young men, according to Gallup poll data. Are we surprised by this? No. Not at all.
No, but I mean, to see the hard numbers is pretty... it's
staggering.
like you have this in the back of your mind that this feels true, but to see like, okay, no, polling data actually shows this gap is wider than it's ever been. Women have been increasing, going down this liberal leftist path over the years, because it's interesting that the men haven't changed.
Right. Men have very much stayed the same in the same amount of liberalism, and we can get in trouble for sexism here, but is it because men think more logically than women, and they're more logic-minded than women typically, and women are more emotional, which is what the liberal, I should say progressive side depends on, is emotion, and who is easier to get when it comes to emotions? Is it men or women? It's women. Which is why 44% of them are identifying with the liberal or left-leaning side of politics. And it's interesting because Dennis wrote this whole article about how women are disproportionately hurting the country, and everybody went like buck wild on him for him making that article and for making that statement. But if your values are trending to the right and you're viewing the numbers of who trends to the left, it's particularly young women. They're the ones pushing for the gender theory in schools, critical race theory in schools. They push the teachers not showing up and the teachers' unions deciding, hey, we're not going to show up during this COVID time and taking kids out of schools. They are trending with the body positivity movement. They're the ones pushing it. You never hear a man saying health at any size, for the most part. I don't think I've ever heard a man say that in my life yet. I'm sure there are men who believe that, but I've not heard from them.
Yeah, there's not really an incentive structure in place for men to want to say there's health at any size when it comes to women.
You don't see male plus size models on any billboards, anything like that. You don't see like plus size male artists talking about how they have an icon body. Anyways, BLM, founded by a group of women, pushing the race narrative, inciting violence. It's like, I'm sorry, tell me where we're wrong. Just tell me where we're wrong. The sexualization of everything and like pornography and
OnlyFans
and sexual promiscuity is a form of liberation. Women.
Yeah, I mean, I hate to go, the Jordan Peterson on it here, but he frames it as this traditionally in mythology that the feminine is associated with chaos and the masculine is associated with order. And it feels like if you just take a step back and look at where we are in our culture right now, there's chaos. We can't define what the word woman is anymore, where there's a hesitancy to put boundaries on anything. And in this, since like the 60s, you've had like the sexual revolution, you've had the postmodernism seeping in, you've had like redefining in Hollywood, like what a hero is and rewriting all the narratives and all the stuff. And it's like, okay, you don't want excessive order. You don't want to stranglehold and say women shouldn't be allowed to do this or that, or like, those very rigid gender roles that we've talked about. But where's the happy medium? Because it seems like we've swung so far in rebelling against this perception of a patriarchy and rebelling against this perception of that we're still in the 1960s, like we just saw in the Don't Worry Darling movie with Olivia Wilde, that we're so far in this, like the chaos of the emancipation of women, quote unquote, that it's like there is no boundaries for anything. There's no norms. There's no standards. It's just blah. Just let's be, and that's what feels like. And I think that this poll kind of is just evidence of just, I don't know, where we've been heading as a society. That there is this just like energy of chaos that's just exploding all over, and we don't know which way is up anymore.
Dude, speaking of not having objectivity or a definition, it was so interesting yesterday at the Jubilee filming because we did solo interviews. We did the group video first, and then we did little solo interviews. And they asked each of the people who were present for the video, the 3 trans women and the 3 conservative women, what does womanhood mean to you? And my mind was boggled by the answers that people were giving to this question. The question is, what is womanhood? Okay. So the trans women came up and one of them was like, womanhood is integrity. It's empowerment. It's standing strong. It's supporting other women, which is emotion, like a feeling. And then the other ones would come up and be like, well, womanhood is nurturing. Womanhood is being soft. I'm like, feeling, like, and then I got up there and they're like, what is womanhood? And I said, it's pretty simple. You have female chromosomes. That was it. That's what it means to be a woman. And that was the end of my answer. But all these other women were coming up and saying like, it's about integrity and it's about softness and it's about empowerment and it's about liberation. I'm like, no, it is not. Why have we deviated so far from objectivity and just definitive scientific terms for what it means to be a female that, you know, men can have integrity. Men can be soft. Men can be nurturing. Does that now make them women? And I guess in today's day and time, people would say yes. If your little boy is soft and loves pink and is nurturing, he's a woman. It's just like seeing it unfold right in front of your face and seeing people answer questions in that manner was just truly mind-boggling to me. I could not believe it.
Yeah, we're in a mess when we can't even. And I think there's also the question of like what should a woman be, and I think that's where people get sold on an idea of that, and I don't know, you lose. It's not like your definition. You just start at it's chromosomes and that freedom to determine who you are and who you want to be based on your character is great, and that's enough. But they're the ones with this prepackaged idea of what it is to be a woman that is basically a mirror image or the flip side of the coin of what the patriarchal version is. And they're saying, no, it's this emancipated thing where if you want to conform to the old gender roles, then you're a sellout and you should be shamed as a woman. And that, which to me is equally restrictive of women as the old patriarchal rules were, if that makes sense. Like it used to be, we need to be free from the tyranny of men wanting you to cook and clean and conform to this role, and you're not free to go pursue a career if you decide to be that. And now we've gone so far in the other direction that it's it's the tyranny of this hyper modern feminism that says, well, if you want to be, if the way that you want to be feminine is to be taken care of and to have a man and start a family and care for kids and stay home, that's shameful and that should be resisted, and you're somehow be a sellout toward the rest of women. It's like, to your point, is being a woman is in your biology, and whatever you want to be, you should have the freedom to be. That seems like a reasonable middle ground that we should aspire to and enjoy as a society, because, hey, if you want to go that route and be the blue-haired activist and whatever, not that all people with blue hair are activists and bad, and we always get the comments. But
have the caveat.
If you want to, you can be whatever you want to be, but like, we don't have to say that you're now just you're doing the same thing that you criticize in the first place, which is imposing norms and standards that are restrictive on people who make certain choices.
Yeah, it is so interesting. I'm so interested to see how this video gets cut. I don't think it's going to be out for like a month or two, but I still want to talk about moments that happen because they're just so indicative of where we are. Like all the trans women, we got along by the end of it. And like I said, some of them are going to be on the show, but some of the ideas expressed were just so mind-blowing to me. Like one of them said, like, you know, if you're a woman and you want to have babies for the patriarchy, then do that. Like, wait a second, hold up. So you're born a male, you've transitioned to be a woman, you're like doing the surgeries, you're growing your hair out long, you're filling all these different gender roles, but a woman who wants to have children is having them for the patriarchy? It's like, what is going on?
Yeah, by that logic, why is like dressing up like a woman and not playing into the hands of the patriarchy? You know, if having children, doing that traditionally feminine thing or whatever is playing into the hands of the patriarchy, why is, as a man, if you're a trans woman, putting on a dress and lipstick, why is that not conforming to the gender standards that existed?
Right. And it's interesting because like for people who are on the left, not all of them, but for some of them, and particularly the radical ones, your politics is very much your personality and what is at the forefront of your thoughts on any given day. Like we walked into film and all the conservative women are like, I wore a dress, the other girl like wore like a cute little like flowery unique top, the other one wore like just regular clothes, and then one trans woman wore like trans Black Lives Matter, and it was a huge t-shirt and it had it all on the forefront. Okay, I'm assuming I get your political beliefs just by looking at you. The other one was wearing like abortion is healthcare. And then guess what? The conservative trans woman wore regular clothes. Isn't that so interesting?
Yeah.
To me, that is so interesting. So the really radical ones wore their politics on their t-shirt and just like could not hide the fact that this is what I believe. And the conservative one was fine wearing normal clothes.
Yeah, it's like one's chill, one's I need you to see that I'm an activist for these causes. And so by implication you can kind of read into it and say, well,
Right.
your identity, your source of meaning is in this activism. Whereas if you're just dressing, well, quote unquote, normally, your identity's in what is your identity? I don't know. Maybe I should talk to you, get to know you, get to know your thoughts. And it's not this like the be all end all of everything is my activism. Put me in this category. Put me as put these labels on the slogans and let me go out there. It's like,
and like I said, lovely people,
Yeah,
but
do what
lots
you wanna
of
do.
ideas to criticize. Lots of ideas to
Good way to put
criticize
it.
there.